Hi guys, welcome back. So in this episode I'm going to try and finish off this 728. The RAM has finally arrived. So I've got my bag of 16k by 4-bit RAMs, so I need 2 of those for that board. So we're going to put those in and see if that fixes this part of the problem. And from there I will put it all back together and we'll see how we go with getting a picture on the screen behind me. Alright guys, and as I say, grab a drink, a few little snacks and a comfy chair, because we've got to get on with it. Hey guys, and we're back with the 728, and I've just got to put the video RAM back in here to test it. Once I've done that, I'm going to put it back in its base and hook up the power video board, because all of that should be fine. All the video side of it is, all the power side of it is fine. I'm not 100% sure with the video outside of it, so we'll need to check that. But I need it all back together to do that. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the 2 RAM chips in here, and I'm going to fire it back up on the bench power supply just to make sure it's not going to over voltage and do anything silly. I don't think it is, because before, when I did it, it was sitting at under an amp, which is what it should be. Alright, so I'm just going to pop these in, and these are some new ones I just got in. They just turned up the other day. But I had to finish off the Apple II power supply before I can get back onto this. There we go here. 1, 2. And I'll just get me IC pin straightener. It's this one here for the small ICs. And as I says, if you're looking for something for doing this, and I mean this, you just push this and squeeze the sides in, and that sets it to the right width to go into a socket. So if you're looking for anything like that, it is on Thingiverse. Other than that, if you look in my tools section under my videos, it's also in there. And it's not just this one, there's also the one for doing the bigger ICs, and this does the ones like ROM chips and processors, videos, anything, those sort of wider chips it does. Unfortunately, it's not the one that goes the in-betweeners. There's some ICs out there that are a little bit weird in the width, and they don't do that. But you should be able to get close enough. And the other thing there is, I don't have it to hand, is it's the same colour as this one. It's for bending your wire legs on resistors, capacitors, diodes, anything like that. And it has different whips coming down, and it's stepped as it comes down, so you can set it to the size you want, push it, and you get perfectly bent 90-degree legs. So that's just something else you can do. But if you have a look through my tools section, you will actually find it'll be there, and I think it's also on one of my Spectra video repairs as well. It was on. So yeah. But anyway, there we go. So as I said, I usually buy a few sets of these and keep spares, because you never know if there's 1 or 2 faulty. And sure as eggs, as I have done in the past, I put just the amount I need to find 1 or 2 are faulty, or they're all faulty. And at least I've got spares to put in if they are. And if they're not faulty and they all test good, they're getting harder to buy now. So it always pays to keep stock, especially when you're working on old gear like this. Right, so that's all in. So hopefully I will turn the power supply on and let's see what we have. Oh, that's cool. That's really good. That's sitting at 5 volts at 0.85 amps. So 840 milliamps, 830 milliamps. So yeah. Yeah, and nothing's getting hot at all. Now these do run warm, and as I was saying, you can get heat sinks to go on. Some of them did, some of them didn't. I do have down in the back room some brand new aluminium heat sinks, and I asked Stephen if he wants me to put them on. If you have a look at the original Spectra Video ones, they had these aluminium heat blocks on them to help with the heat dispensation. Sorry guys, got my tongue tied there. And these were glued to the top of these video processors. Now these are the 9918s, and they were notorious for overheating. That's why they had these blocks on them. The 9928s shouldn't do. They should get warm, but they shouldn't get to like the original one was, where you couldn't hold your fingers on it. It was that hot. It was almost burning my skin, and that means that it's not good. So yeah, but this is fine. This is sitting on 0.83, 0.84, 5 volts. So I think this is good. I think what we need to do now is to power this off. I need to get the case and pop the case down and put this and put the power supply in, and we'll try firing it up and see if it works. And if we get that far, I'll pop the keyboard in. And the easy thing with the keyboard is you'll get the power on or caps lock light will come on and go off. And if that's all working, then it should be fine. And we'll try it on a video and see if we get any images up on the screen. Alright guys, so I will grab all those bits, turn that off. I will desolder these off the bottom of this board because we're going to be running it off its own power supply. And I'll be back to you shortly. Alright. See you soon. Right guys, so I've desoldered the power connector off here, and got the power board. Move the box out of the way. It's the base. So what we'll do is we will mount this in first, I think, and then we will mount the power supply in and plug it up. So we'll do that. And there is just a little trick of getting the boards back in. The cartridge slot on the connector on the back, clip the pins in, and the same as the printer connectors that hold the plug on, point them into the middle, and it just allows you to get them through the hole better. And then you can just put it in and slide it over and onto the joysticks. So those are there. So just got to grab the screws and put these screws in, and then we can pop this board back in, and then we just got to solder this wire. I haven't shortened this wire, as I was saying, why they've got such a long earth where they could have put one down here somewhere. I have no idea, but that runs all the way down to there anyway, so why they didn't just decide to tag it on there. There's nothing goes through that hole. No, there's nothing that goes in there. I have no idea. We could do if we wanted to, make a shorter earth path, but it seemed to be working fine where it was. So I'll grab the screws out and put this back in. Hey guys, right, so I've got it all set up, plugged in, and I've got the other camera set up so you can see the screen and see what happens. And you can see it up here in the corner. So I don't know if this is going to work or not, because I don't know if it's damaged any of the ICs on the video out circuit. and if anything else on here has actually got an issue. Everything else feels cool. Doesn't feel like it has an issue. So what I'll do is I will power it on and we'll see what we see. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We've got some signs of life, not a hell of a lot, but we've got a red screen, which means it's not, something's not firing 100%. Now this could also point to that we could have a fault in one of these other logic chips, or it could be the ROM, or it could be something else. But I just need to go through and check the voltages. I will probably need to pull the scope out and just scope the connections on the TMS just to make sure I'm getting signals off each of those. And make sure I'm getting the voltages through too. So we'll do that first. So I will try that first and we'll see what voltages are coming out of this. I'll just turn that screen off. Right. Okay, so let's see what we have. Now we want our ground. It's down here. Put that so you can see it a bit better, guys. It's ground. That's our -12. It's our 5. It's our +12. So all those seem to be looking okay. So we've got all our voltages coming off here and going into the board. So that's all good. So now what I need to do is probably run around and just double check. I'm pretty sure all the 5 volts we're getting to all the places it should do. When I checked for shorts before. Yeah, we got 5 volts there. Yeah, we got 5 volts running to the RAMs and to the video RAM. So most of these that pin. So most of these are all running 5 volts. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean all these seem to be getting their 5 volts. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just jumping around and just checking all these discretes first, just to make sure they're all getting their 5 volt rails, and they all are. What I can see, they're all pulling their 5 volts. Yeah, I mean, all those seem to be fine. So the only other thing I can think of is there may be something over here, or there'd be something with the, or the sorry, not that, the Z80 may have an issue. The AY is generally memory switching handling, and then you have the Z80, then you have the peripheral chip. So we've replaced it with that. Now, I mean, that's getting warm, which means it is working. I'll need to pull up a schematic for the Z80 because I can't remember which pins they are. I'm pretty sure it's in the middle somewhere and they're across ground and 5 volts are across each other, and I can't remember with the AY either. And I need to pull up the schematics for this to see if I can pick up the video signals on it. So all those seem to be okay, so I'm just not 100%. I might do the other thing I could do is pull the ROM out of my 728-bit socketed, pop it in here just in case this ROM I put on here is not quite right. It was the one that was on there, and they're both the same size. I think just one had a different language to the other. Now that could be that I've put in a NTSC ROM in here, which is not going to work with a PAL video, but we should get a bit more than just red on the screen. So I'll go through that and I will pull out the scope, and I think I'll just get some schematics so we can have a look at this and see where the problem might be. Alright, so I will be back soon. Okay guys, so I've got the machine up here. I've taken the keyboard off. I've taken the screws out and desoldered the earth and undone the plugs. Now I sat down and went over this with the scope, and I'm getting a 15 point some odd kilohertz on the 3 video out signals on this cable which are going into this board. But the video from the video plug at the back here I'm getting on the monitor I'm using over there. That is only coming up with a red screen, nothing else. There's no beeps or anything else. So it says that the system isn't completely booting. Partially, but not completely. So I don't know if there's any other TTL logic that's damaged on this board, or whether it is the I/O controller or the CPU that's got a fault. So I'm going to start from around this area and work my way up. I know these chips are fine, so I'm going to pull them out one at a time and check them on me component analyzer, and that'll tell me if these are damaged or not, and if they're damaged I'll replace them and get it back to how it should be. So I'm hoping that it might only be 1 or 2, but we will see. I mean, that's all I can do. These chips are all still fine. I've pulled them out and tested them, the RAM chips, and they still all test fine, so nothing has killed these. And so it's probably one of these that's dead and around here or over here by the I/O port. Worst case scenario, it's the Z80 and it's got a problem. I do have spares. I don't have any of the original 4 megahertz ones, but I do have some 20s and 8s, and they're all downclockable anyway to whatever speed you want to run them. The speed on the Z80 is just the maximum it can run at, and any Z80 can even be clocked down to 1 megahertz if you want to. So yeah, that I will look at replacing as a last resort. TTLs are going to be easier because less pins to worry about. And what I'll do is I'll test them. If they test okay, I will put them back in. If they test faulty, I will probably, thinking about it, might drop a socket in there and then put the chip in, just in case something happens at a later date or something else kills that same chip. But that's what I think I will do. Alright guys, so we will get on to desoldering these chips and testing them. Okay, so if I find anything, I will come back and let you know. Okay. Okay, as you saw there guys, I took that IC out, I put it on the tester and it tested fine. So what I've done, I've just put it back and I've tagged either side. Sometimes you'll find that even though you desolder them, and I put flux on there to help with it, some people reflow it with new solder before they desolder it. Both ways work, but I bit of flux, desolder it. If it sticks, sometimes it's from the opposite side of the board. So what I do is I just generally put something like my little pick or that underneath it and go with the hot air and just gently heat around the area, and you actually see the board starting to fall down. Or if you're holding your pick under there and just gently putting pressure on the chip, you'll feel it starting to give. Now when it starts to give, you can take the hot air away because there's enough heat in the board to desolder that solder and get it off. And that's what I did. I turned it over, got the pick under there and just gently pried it up from both ends and got the chip out. Then I used my leg straightener, re-straightened all the legs again before I put in and tested it. And as I said, it tested fine. I tested it twice and it came up fine twice. So this will pick up all the basic functions for the standard 7.4 series chips, and I've never had it where it's failed me. I've had it pick up faulty chips before, so they're a good way of testing some of your basic stuff if you want to. They won't do CPUs and PIOs and things like that. They're not built for doing that. But your basic TTL stuff they will. So anyway, I'm going to carry on. I'll solder this chip in and I'll go to the next one and carry on. I just wanted to show you how I'm doing it and what I'm doing so you can see the process. And on the other side you'll see I've marked each of the ICs with a silver dot with the pen. That's to tell me which ones I've done so I can keep an eye on where I'm going. Because I'm picking it's either around that area by those, or up by the processor, or over by the PIO. But I'm going to go through them one at a time and just check them as I go. I'm picking it's probably not going to be a TTL. That's wrong, and it's probably either going to be the PIO or the CPU. Maybe not the CPU because it is sort of running, but there could be a problem in it. Who knows? But anyway, I will carry on to the next one. I'll solder that one back up and carry on to the next one. And if I find anything, I will actually bring you back and show you what I've found. Okay, guys? So, hopefully, we'll find the fault and I'll see you soon. Okay? Hi guys, I'm back. As you can see, the board looks a little bit different. I've gone through and checked everything that I can, and I've also removed the Z80, the sound chip and the I/O. That's just because I do need to try different ones if there's an issue, and I'm going to put sockets in. I did find one 74139 that was faulty on the board. It's the only chip I have. The transistors I've all checked on the component tester and they're all fine. So, to the best of my knowledge, everything else on the board is working other than testing the three main chips. So, I'll just switch it over to the desktop so you can see the faulty chip. So, just hang with me for a sec. Okay, so here's the IC tester. And what I am going to do is go in here and do a logic IC test, and it's a 74139, and we'll get to and as you can see it's failed, and it's failed on pin 10. It's exactly where it's failed. And if I tell it to do an auto find, it's going to say that there is a problem. To check the chip, make sure it's in position properly, make sure that the pins are all good and on good contact and that. And this is the only IC I have this issue with. So if we go back to here, tell it it's that, which is the chip it should be, which is the 74139. and it comes up definitely with an error on that pin 10. So this IC is a dual 2 to 4 line decoder demultiplexer IC, and it's used in memory decoding and data routing and that. So this could be giving us a problem with the data not being transferred properly. So I need to find myself one of these, go through my stash of ICs, and see if I can find one to replace it with. But in the meantime, I'm going to put sockets in the board for the... Let's get rid of these. So I'm just going to put sockets in this board so I can put those other ones in, and then I'll find an IC for it. And it's right around over here by the video chip, and that could be why we're getting no video out of this, or it's not talking to the video chip, or the video chip's not talking to the memory. It could be something to do with the memory handling of it. So I'll find one to go in there, and as I say, I will socket these, because in later dates, if there's any issues with the sound or the I/O or the processor, it's easier just to redo the sockets on them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You don't need to see me putting sockets on boards. So I said I'd come back and show you when I had a problem, and I think I found it. So I will find that. Hopefully it'll be just that chip, and I can pop the others back in with in their sockets, and hopefully this will all work. So I'll put sockets in, do that chip, and I'll give the board a clean too, because it's covered in flux on the back. And on the back of the board, I don't know if you can see it, I've got little silver dots on all the ICs, being the ones that I've actually gone through and already desoldered and tested. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do that, and we'll be back to it. Alright, I'll see you soon. Okay guys, so I found the IC I needed to replace and replaced it. And I've also replaced the sound generator, the 8255 and the Z80, and I'm still getting the same errors. The screen is just going red. The relay is clicking on and off, which means the main board is powering up. So I'm picking up maybe something in the video circuit on here, because this is the combiner, and I think this has got something to do with driving this side of the circuit. So I'm going to check that transistor, and I've got some of these combiners that I had to get them when I did the last MSX, so I got some of those. And I've got some 7404s, this one here. These are not gates. Now, this being close to where these were, could have gotten taken out. So, that could be part of our problem. So, I'm going to replace that. There is a frequency coming out of the crystal, so the crystal's fine. And I might just pull this and replace this as well. And I'll just check that transistor on the component analyzer. Alrighty, so I will do that, and then I will get back to you. As I said, it's not worth you sitting down watching me desolder this stuff and test it and put it back in again. So I'll get on and do that, and if I find anything, I will definitely get back to you. Alrighty, I'll see you soon. Okay guys, so what I was doing there, I was actually just giving myself a video picture of where the resistor and the capacitor and the other components go, and their orientations, because these boards, these brown boards, don't generally have the pins designated for pin 1 or which end goes which way. So I've done that just for my own peace of mind, so I know where they go. Alrighty, well I'll get on pulling these two off and that transistor out and checking them. Okay, and I'll get back to you when I find something out. Okay, bye. So guys, it's another day, and I think that one was long enough. And what I found is there is something else going on with the machine. I did look for the TBA combiners, and I couldn't find any, so I've ordered some in. Now, it's been a while since I posted a video, and I apologise for that, but I have been unwell for the last 2 or so weeks. So I'm just coming back again, my head's clearing out, and I'm starting to get in, and I'm just editing this one together and finishing it off for you guys. So hopefully they will be in soon, and we can carry on with this and find out where it is. But I think the other thing I can do is we can jump in and just try rescoping the CPU and the video to see where the signals are going and if they're making their way out. Alright, so anyway, hopefully this is keeping you going and you're finding it entertaining. I do at times. Anyway guys, as I always say, have a great day, have a great week, and until next time, ciao.